Friends, whenever we talk about those Hollywood films that completely changed the face of world cinema, one of the biggest names that comes to mind is the Terminator series. This is not just a film. It is a journey that forced us to imagine what would happen if machines ever took control over humans, and what the future of humanity would look like if artificial intelligence became so powerful that it tried to dominate our world. The Terminator saga began in 1984, when James Cameron brought his imagination to the screen and showed the world how a machine that looked exactly like a human could become the deadliest threat to mankind. Back then, no one could have predicted that this film would grow into such a massive franchise, one that would continue to be discussed and reinvented for decades to come. The first film, The Terminator, 1984, introduced Arnold Schwarzenegger as a cyborg assassin sent from the future to kill Sarah Connor. Sarah was just an ordinary woman, but she was destined to become the mother of John Connor, the man who would one day lead humanity in the war against the machines. This was the reason Skynet, the artificial intelligence system, wanted her eliminated so that John would never be born. But from the future, a soldier named Kyle Reese was also sent to protect Sarah, and in the end, she survived. This film shook the entire world and made people realize how thrilling and terrifying a story based on the war between man and machine could be. Then came Terminator 2, Judgment Day in 1991, and this film revolutionized cinema forever. For the first time, the Terminator was transformed from a villain into a hero. Arnold's character was reprogrammed and sent back to protect Sarah and young John Connor. Their enemy was the T-1000, a liquid metal Terminator that could shape-shift into any form. The visual effects at that time were so groundbreaking that even today, many consider this one of the greatest science fiction films ever made. This movie showed us that the relationship between man and machine didn't have to be only about destruction. It could also be about trust. And of course, the Terminator's iconic line, "Hasta la vista, baby," became immortal worldwide. Next came Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, in 2003. Here the story grew darker because Judgment Day, the day of the machine uprising, was not prevented, only delayed. John Connor had grown up, aware that the war could begin at any moment. Once again, a Terminator was sent to protect him. But this time, the new threat was the T-X, a female Terminator with advanced abilities. The film made it clear that Skynet's rise could not be stopped. It was inevitable, and the war between humans and machines was destined to happen. Then in 2009, we got Terminator Salvation, which took us directly into the future. Here we saw a devastated world where the machines had already taken control, and humanity was struggling to survive in scattered resistance groups. John Connor was now on the path to becoming the leader of this resistance. The story introduced a new character, Marcus, who was half human and half machine, raising the unsettling question of who the real enemy was: machines, or the humans who created them. Unlike the earlier films, this one was focused more on war and action, giving us a vision of the post-apocalyptic future we had only imagined until then. In 2015, Terminator Genisys was released, and it completely rewrote the timeline. When Kyle Reese was sent back to 1984 to save Sarah, the story was no longer the same. This time, Sarah was already aware of her destiny and was living with a protective Terminator. A new program called Genisys was introduced, which would eventually evolve into Skynet. The film attempted to reboot the franchise, but for many audiences, it ended up feeling overly complicated. Finally, in 2019, came Terminator: Dark Fate, with James Cameron returning as a producer. This film brought back Sarah Connor and took the story in a bold new direction. John Connor was killed early on, and the focus shifted to a new heroine, Dani Ramos, who was destined to lead humanity in the future. Alongside her was Grace, a hybrid warrior, as they faced off against a deadly new Terminator model, the Rev-9. The film reminded us that even though Skynet was gone, the threat of machines was far from over. Friends, after all these films, one thing became crystal clear. No matter how hard humans try, the attack from the future is inevitable. Whether it's Skynet, Legion, or some other artificial intelligence, it will always rise against mankind. And this very thought lays the foundation for Terminator 7. Now the real question is, where does the story go from here? What new threat will humanity face? And will Arnold Schwarzenegger's legendary character return one last time? Or will the franchise pass the torch to a new hero? Early discussions about Terminator 7 suggest that this time the story won't be limited to time travel or another machine attack. Instead, it will be deeply connected to today's rapidly evolving world of artificial intelligence. As we all know, AI is advancing at lightning speed, embedding itself into every aspect of human life. The story of Terminator 7 will draw from this very fear. What if this technology spirals out of control? What if it grows beyond our control and reveals just how fragile humanity truly is? Friends, every installment of the Terminator series has taught us one thing, that no matter how hard humans try, whether they travel through time, destroy servers, or make countless attempts to alter the future, the threat of artificial intelligence never truly ends. Dark Fate showed us that John Connor's story had come to an end, and Dani Ramos was the one destined to lead humanity in the future. But now the real question is, can Dani truly rise into the force that stops the entire machine army? Or will someone else step forward as humanity's savior? Terminator 7 is the film that aims to answer this very question. The story of this film is set across both the future and the present. Instead of Skynet or Legion, a new artificial intelligence emerges. Its name is Erebus, but Erebus is unlike anything we have seen before. It doesn't just control machines. It invades human minds, rewriting their thoughts, turning them into unwilling soldiers. This means the line between man and machine becomes blurred, because many humans themselves begin to act like machines under Erebus's control. This becomes the greatest twist of the film. The enemy is not just the machine, but also humans who have been hacked from within. The film begins in the year 2045. Machines have nearly conquered the entire Earth. Cities lie in ruins, and only small groups of humans remain, surviving in hiding. Dani Ramos is now the leader of the resistance, but she is not alone. She has an entire unit of hybrid warriors like Grace at her side. Yet Dani realizes something far worse. Human numbers are declining every day, not only because of battle, but because Erebus is taking over human minds. Many resistance fighters suddenly begin working for the machines, and it's all because of Erebus. Meanwhile, the story cuts to the present day, in 2025. Here we are introduced to a new character, Ethan, a brilliant cybersecurity expert who discovers the early code of Erebus. But as soon as he digs deeper, a new Terminator is sent from the future to eliminate him. This time, the assassin is not a T-800 or a Rev-9. It's something far more advanced, a model built from human DNA itself, capable of mimicking any person's face and voice. It is called T-Infinity. So powerful and unstoppable is this new model that even the Resistance begins to believe it cannot be defeated. And then comes the biggest surprise. In the second act, Arnold Schwarzenegger's legendary Terminator makes a shocking return. After Dark Fate, everyone thought his chapter had closed. But this time it is revealed that his model had separated itself from the system years earlier. Now, he carries with him a hidden code capable of destroying Erebus from the inside. But to execute it, he needs Ethan and Dani's help. The middle portion of the film takes on a deeply emotional tone with the appearance of Sarah Connor. Older now, she gives Dani a message that she has fought this war all her life. But now it is Dani's turn to protect humanity. This powerful cameo serves as a tribute to the franchise's roots, reminding audiences where the Terminator legend began. As the story intensifies, Dani, Ethan, and Arnold's Terminator form a team to battle T-Infinity. The action escalates with breathtaking sequences, one being an extended chase across city streets where T-Infinity constantly shifts its appearance to deceive them, and another inside an airplane where the assassin tries to crash the entire aircraft, forcing Dani to risk her life to save everyone on board. But the greatest twist comes in the climax. When the heroes finally reach Erebus's main server, they discover that Erebus is not just a human creation. It is a hybrid, born out of both past and future timelines, proving that humanity itself unknowingly created its own destroyer. In a final sacrifice, Arnold's Terminator uploads the code, destroying Erebus, and utters his legendary line, "I'll be back." But this time, his words mean something different, that his legacy will always remain with mankind. The film ends with Dani and Ethan. Dani accepts that the war is far from over. they have only begun a new chapter. This sets the stage for Terminator 8, leaving audiences with both closure and anticipation. Now, let's talk about release details. Reports suggest Terminator 7 could arrive by late 2027 or early 2028. The project is still in early development, but James Cameron himself is rumored to be interested in producing. If he does return, the film has the potential to recreate the same magic that Terminator 2 brought to cinema history. As for the budget, the Terminator franchise has always been among the highest cost productions. Dark Fate carried a budget of around $185 million, but Terminator 7 is expected to go even higher, ranging between $220 and $250 million, given the massive scale of VFX, CGI, and action sequences planned. When it comes to the cast, Natalia Reyes is almost certain to reprise her role as Dani Ramos. Mackenzie Davis, who played Grace, may appear in flashbacks or smaller scenes. The new character Ethan will be cast with a fresh Hollywood star. Rumors suggest names like Timothée Chalamet or another young leading actor. Most importantly, Arnold Schwarzenegger is confirmed for a special return, which is believed to be his final portrayal of the Terminator. Linda Hamilton's Sarah Connor is also expected to appear in a cameo, giving fans a nostalgic connection. And now the big question: box office potential. Though the franchise lost some of its shine with Genesis and Dark Fate, the global fan base remains strong. If James Cameron truly returns, Terminator 7 could open with $80 to $100 million in its US opening weekend alone, eventually grossing $350 to $400 million at the US box office. Globally, it has the potential to cross the billion-dollar mark, especially given its massive fan following in markets like China and Europe. So friends, Terminator 7 will not just be another film. It will be an attempt to revive the entire franchise. It will remind us once again that the war between humans and machines is not only about action and explosions. It is a reflection of our own world, where artificial intelligence is becoming a bigger part of our lives every single day. And perhaps that is why the excitement for Terminator 7 is so high, because audiences are waiting for that same thrill they felt back in 1984 when they first saw the Terminator and realized that cinema would never be the same again.